If Thomas Frank can get Mathys Tel into these shooting positions more often next season, we could have a 20-goal-a-season player on our hands. Tottenham have confirmed the permanent signing of Mathys Tel, and if you're excited about it like me, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. In this video, we're going to briefly talk about how Thomas Frank could turn Mathys Tel into a monster next season, a more efficient player in front of goal, and maximise his strengths and get the best out of him. Let's quickly, before we do that, go through the statement put out by Spurs, confirmed this morning. There was rumours going around yesterday. Fabrizio Romano, here we go, came yesterday evening, and Spurs have said, we are delighted to announce the permanent signing of Mathys Tel from FC Bayern. Mathys joined the club from the Bundesliga side in February on loan until the end of the season with an option to make the move permanent. We can confirm we have agreed a deal with Bayern that will see the France under-21 international sign a contract that will run until 2031 when his current loan deal ends on the 30th of June. He made his debut for the club as a substitute against Liverpool, etc, etc, etc. Scored 3 goals, got 1 assist as well. And I understand why people were sceptical about bringing Mathys Tel to the club, especially in a summer where I do think we need to add proven quality to the squad, especially going back into the Champions League. And I do think that we will do that in other areas. But for me, this was a no-brainer, especially on a reduced fee, which it looks like Spurs have got for Mathys Tel. Let me just quickly confirm the fee that was actually paid for him, because I said this all along, right? I said that Mathys Tel, for me, I'm not sure I would be spending £29.8 million plus the £10 million loan fee, obviously, so bringing it up to about 40 million in total. The buy option was around, I think, 50, so we've basically got it for around 20 million under the buy option, but we're obviously still paying for the loan fee, which I think that's a pretty good deal all in all, with the potential upside that Mathys Tel does have. I think he's a real talent, and I think one thing before we kind of get into how Frank can improve him and mould him into a more efficient and effective player, I think one of the things that impressed me the most under Tel last season was his attitude. Again, even little things like when he was being interviewed after the game at the end of the season, you kind of got the impression that he was going to be a permanent Spurs player. Ange Postecoglou gave us that impression and said that he's going to be a Spurs player. Obviously, Ange Postecoglou is not here. He was the manager that convinced him to come. But even without Ange Postecoglou, we've managed to get him to stay. And I think Tel's attitude was really important. Such a hard worker. Those interactions with the fans as well. He didn't shy away from anything on the pitch. If things didn't work for him, which they didn't in some games, like I said, 3 goals and 1 assist. 2 of those goals coming from the penalty spot. I think certainly 1 against Southampton, 1 against Wolves, 1 against Villa. So yeah, so only 1 of them come from the penalty spot. He never really shied away from anything, even if it wasn't working. His head never really went down, and that's what I found really impressive. And I think that's partly why I think he's a real top-level talent. Over the long term, I can see him, and I've said this the whole time, I can see him kind of moving centrally as a number 9. I think one thing that needs to happen with that is he needs to improve his finishing. And there's kind of examples that we've got to show in the screenshots when we go through. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I think there's a lot of potential upside there. We've not seen loads. We've only seen it in glimpses. And I wouldn't have paid the £50 million to sign him. But I'm very happy to get this deal done on a reduced fee. And I think one thing that you have to bear in mind as well is that for the most part, during Mathys Tel's Tottenham career, he was kind of playing in a rag-bag, bit of a mess of a setup with constant changes every week. When he first came in, he was playing as a back-to-goal striker, which didn't really suit his game that much at the time. Like I said, I think he can grow into a striker over time. Certainly under Frank's kind of tutelage and in his system, I think he definitely can. But again, like I said, it never ever shied away from anything whatsoever. And then when he kind of did move out to the left, I think we definitely saw more glimpses from him. But I still think with the way that we were kind of setting up, we weren't necessarily getting the best out of him. And with Thomas Frank's track record of being able to platform, improve, and mould these players to and play to their strengths, that is the most important thing. And I think sometimes you can kind of, not to sort of oversimplify it, and not to patronise Ange Postecoglou in any way, shape or form, because he is a elite level coach, and I'm not, but it felt like Postecoglou did have a bit of a profiling issue when it came to certain players. And like I said, I didn't really have an issue with that with Tel at the start, because I think it was kind of needs must. Go and play out front, you're going to be a bit of a workhorse for us, and we're going to play off you. And I think, again, like I said, as he grows, as he develops, that he can turn into that. But I think for now, to get the best out of him, playing him as a left winger, more as an inside forward is where you're going to get the best out of him. And that is what kind of excites me about Frank playing Tel playing in Frank's system. If we do set up how he did Brentford last season, but also just generally under Frank, who, like I said, has got an immense track record of profiling players to get the best out of them. And Buemo, Visser, Schade are really good examples of that. Like I said, if you can get Tel in kind of these more of these positions where you've got a doggy here, the fullback going round him, and Tel being afforded the room and license to kind of come inside and get shots off like this with the ball striking ability that he does have, then I think you're going to get the best out of him. Again, here, you see, if I just move this across slightly, you see Spence high and wide, offering Tel the room to come inside and create from there, dragging a defender, allowing Tel to kind of come inside. Spence hasn't dragged any players with him. Tel's got a few players around him there, but he still has the quality and the presence of mind to pick out that pass and that run from Richarlison. And I want to see more of that from the likes of Solanke next season, or whoever is our backup striker next season, kind of doing that, because Tel has got the vision to find these kind of cute passes. Again, when we speak about his finishing, it's something that he needs to improve, needs to find a little bit more confidence in. This should have been a goal, no real excuses here. But again, you think of the position that he gets into, was playing as a left winger in this game, in a counter-attacking sort of system, which Frank is going to employ at times. Again, Solanke dropping a little bit deeper to allow Tel, etc., to run in beyond him. Porro wanting to get forward here. He's the one that plays that pass. And again, Belieber kind of gives up on it. Tel should 100% score here. But the more times you're actually going to be able to get him into this situation, the more times he's going to be able to convert. He didn't have a load of chances at Spurs next season. He was feeding off scraps a little bit. And I think Solanke was to an extent as well. But yeah, he was kind of feeding off scraps, not being able to create much in the position that he was deployed in. But again, last game of the season here, although it wasn't a memorable game by any stretch of the imagination, he gets himself into a good position here, and more of what we want to see next season, when you've kind of got maybe Solanke in that sort of Visser role, dropping deeper, giving Maddison a little bit of room to kind of find maybe Tel or whoever it's going to be on the right hand side in behind, finding, you know, these sorts of passes to get these players in and running at the goalkeeper and kind of doing what they do best and creating from there. And I want to see Solanke getting on the end of things a little bit more, because one thing I want to talk about as well with Tel is his crossing, which I think was one of the actual high points of his time. Again here, when he has got runners in behind him, he has got the poise to kind of pick players out and get them in. Again here, in a transitional sort of setup, in a transitional sort of game against Aston Villa, Frank, being that sort of pragmatist, he's going to want to have control by not having the ball at times and just be solid in that block, and then use Tel, Odebear, Kulusevski, potentially Brian Mbeumo, whatever winger that we do bring in, to spring forward and counter-attack. And Tel has shown that when he has got a little bit more space in these counter-attacking situations, his decision-making is very good. I thought his performance against Aston Villa, linking up with Son, the combination play with Son, Odebear and Tel, kind of in that left pocket, left channel, to then accelerate the ball forward and cross the ball from these sort of situations into the centre of the box. Odebear playing as that 10, I thought was really nice. I think that's one of Tel's best performances for Spurs. One that definitely made me think towards the end of the season that we should 100% be looking to sign him. Again, like I said earlier, about his attitude. This game against Crystal Palace, the game's gone, but he's still in there fighting and driving forward and making good decisions in the final third. Here, the combination play coming in off that wing to then drive inside. Again, here, maybe he could get a shot off. He had quite a few shots in this game, to be fair. He was sort of trying to find his feet, maybe trying a little bit too hard at times, but that's his attitude. He wants to make a good impression. He wants to win, which I really, really appreciate. That was something that we all did appreciate, I think, from the get-go. Here again, when he is playing a little bit more wide, and when we are playing against more of a settled block, one thing that he does very well, and one thing with it, again, this Forest game was one of the other games with Tel and Odebear, obviously with Tel in terms of the context of signing him, was for me, it was a no-brainer, and why I was really excited about Tel and Odebear potentially as a wing pairing, and saying we should play like that towards the end of the season, or next season we're going to see a lot more from them. Tel's ability, and the screenshot kind of won't do it justice, but it's how quickly he shifts his feet here to get a cross in on his weak foot, not always looking to come back in onto that right-hand side, which can be a hammer, which we saw at times for Tottenham in that Frankfurt example. Good save, tip round the post. Bayern, he scored a lot of goals, or a lot of his goals kind of came cutting in from that left-hand side and finding really cute finishes into the bottom corner, or wrapping them into the top corner, or hitting them with venom towards the near post. He's comfortable to go on the inside and on the outside and shift his feet quickly to get himself a little bit of room where he can actually find a cross against a low settled block that's going to pick someone out in the middle, because again, playing against a low block, you want to be able to do things very quickly. Here again, transitional situation against Fulham, wants to come inside but has got that ability, like I said with the cross in, to shift direction quickly and getting on goal. Again, cross could have been better. Johnson should attack that back post. And again, when he is playing out wide, because again, he's not going to be to work effectively as an inside kind of forward. There will be times where, if Spurs especially, let me just get rid of these lines. There will be times, even though Tel wants to attack this kind of space, let me just get a box. Even though Tel kind of wants to attack this sort of channel and get in here, there will be times where he does have to start out here, because Udogie's not always going to be going on the outside of him. Udogie might be instructed more to sit a little bit deeper and defensively. And Maddison is going to want to kind of occupy these central spaces. But we know how comfortable Maddison is kind of going out here as well. And Udogie, I think you're going to get the best out of him, despite with his running power at times being really handy in that central role under Postecoglou the season before last and the first season, that ability to kind of eat up the grass centrally through the pitch. I think you're going to get the most out of Udogie going around the outside. I think you're going to get most out of Porro going around the outside as well. So I'm intrigued to see who we do go for on this right-hand side, whether it is going to be Mbeumo, whether it's going to be Semenyo, who can kind of come in and be devastating from these positions, whether Kulusevski is going to play predominantly here as well, which I think would suit him nicely. But like I said, Tel is going to have to start out here at times and go around the outside. You have to have that unpredictability. You're not always going to be able to make those runs into the channel where you want to be more effective. Again, this is maybe an argument for keeping Son as well, because you're going to get a manager that's going to come in and actually use him more effectively, given Frank's track record of improving attackers. But like I said, last example here I've got in terms of screenshots. Tel, he is comfortable to spin and go around the outside. And again, he has got that pace and strength to get away. And again, Johnson is going to be a big weapon for Frank, I think, next season, starting or off the bench as well. And I think we are going to see more of the same with Johnson in terms of attacking that back post or attacking that penalty spot, coming in off that right-hand side. And Tel has got that poise and presence of mind to pick him out after doing a lot of hard work, actually going around the outside. So although I do think you're going to see Tel, and you're going to want Tel in these areas, making runs in behind Solanke, making runs inside the fullback, afforded in the space that's been afforded by him due to the overlapping run, I think, you know, he is able to go around the outside as well. And I think his comfortability on both feet in terms of crossing and dribbling and spinning is gonna help him for sure. But I think this is a really smart signing, a no-brainer, and I'm excited to see what he can do. I said it yesterday in a TikTok when it was announced. My bold prediction is that he gets 20 goals and assists next season across all comps. And I think he can do that. I think Frank is a manager, like I said, who has a proven track record of being able to platform, profile correctly, and improve attackers. Frank is going to be licking his lips, I think, looking at someone like Mathys Tel, because there is so much upside there. Buy and don't buy these players for no reason. You know, he came with a lot of hype. His goals per minutes ratio season before last was incredible coming off the bench. Again, maybe more in transitional kind of situations, afforded a little bit more space. But again, if Spurs can still go out and sign that marquee attacker, which I definitely think we should do, this shouldn't be it in terms of improving that front line. There will be times where you can take the pressure off and keep him on the bench and then bring him on into game situations or game states that are actually going to help him and elevate him and give him more confidence to score more goals. How many times did Tel actually play in wins for us? How many times did he come on when we were or play when we were kind of chasing the game 1-0 down, where he hasn't quite got as much space to be more effective and run in behind and play almost as a second striker or as an inside forward to get into more of those deadly positions where he can be more effective on the break? That never really happened. He spent a lot of his time trying to break down teams because our record in the second half of the season when he was here was so bad. So again, Frank, I think, is going to be a stabiliser. We're going to win more games of football. He's going to platform players correctly. He's going to profile players correctly. And he's going to improve attackers. And that is why I'm really excited to see how Mathys Tel could potentially explode under him. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like it. Make sure to subscribe. We're going to go big with the YouTube content this summer. New manager, new signings, pre-season. It's all around the corner. Make sure to lock in and subscribe. Nice one.